Okay. Okay. And so when you look at, can you think of a specific challenge that maybe if I came to you for this type of coaching that I won't say typical, but maybe it comes up more often than not that you would have a solution for? I mean, work-life
I
balance for one. I mean,
Yeah, the
I'm one of
work-life
those people who don't
balance.
believe in work-life balance. Is that something?
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question because I don't believe in it either, but it
Okay.
might be different than yours. I want to know why you don't believe in it first. Tell me what that sounds like.
Be- Well, I take it from a logical viewpoint. If you're working 8 hours a day, and sometimes it's 10 hours a day, it takes you an hour or two to get there, an hour or two to get back. So you're looking at 12, 14 hours. And then you're looking at meal prep and things like that. And then you really don't have 8 hours out of that day left over for yourself. You maybe have three or four.
Hmm.
So that means you don't have that ability to have the balance because you have three or four and you're going to recover an hour. Some of us like to go watch TV, for
Right,
2 hours,
veg out.
3
Yeah.
hours. Then it's time to go to bed. We don't have, and that's just from the logical viewpoint, time wise. So that would be my first disagreement with the ideal work life balance because it's just not going to be balanced based upon the hours.
I agree. And so this is why I would say yes. And um, the tagline of my book is how to design a life you love. The guide to designing a life you love. And so I don't believe that we need to fit into that model anymore. I work with a lot of
Hmm.
startups, entrepreneurs, leadership. You become more effective. You can do it in a shorter period of time. A lot of our work as leaders can be done remotely. Not all of it. I think that being physically in a space with other human beings is really important. But I do almost everything I do virtually. And we learned over, 2020 through 2023, not everybody, but a lot of people could go remote. So you can start buying time. So it's really the skills I teach people is how to have the world adapt to what would light them up versus trying to fit their round peg into a square hole where they're miserable. So I don't believe in life
Hmm.
work balance either. I think it's like if you go when I was a kid, there was a teeter totter down at the park. And if I was by myself, because my parents were like, get out of the house and don't come back till the street lights come on, and my friends were all busy, I would get on the teeter totter and I would stand in the middle of it. But what happens is you're
Oh,
trying
okay.
to balance it. So you bang and then you bang either
Yeah.
direction,
Yeah.
right? So that's
Yep.
kind
Yep.
of how I
Yep.
see
Yep.
that. Um, but you can
Yeah.
go ahead. You were going to say something?
I was just gonna say, well, coach me out of that thought because no, I was just gonna say, coach me out of that thinking because that's, I mean, it's like you said, it's bang, bang, it's a pendulum swinging, and if you're trying to get all the work done best you can, you're gonna hit the wall someplace.
Yeah.
So coach me out of that. How, if I'm one of your clients, just give us a quick coaching session, if you will.
Well, what I would do is we would start with a list of what you would love to have in your life and what's just not working for you. What's in my life, we call it a not it. And since, your program talks to
Mm,
a lot of business people are familiar with Ben Franklin's or the pros and cons
yeah.
list. And so a love and not it list is very much the same. That's the
Good point.
question. What would I love in my career? Not what do I love about my job, is what would I love in my professional life? What would I love? Well, I'd love to work less than 40 hours a week. I'd love to, work remotely. I'd love to earn $600 million, whatever it is that you would love. What happens when we start doing that is what we don't want will start making an appearance, right? So what we don't want is to commute, an hour and a half each way. We don't want to leave for work in the dark and return home from work in the dark. There's these types of things, right? So if I were to coach you, which takes a little bit longer than the few minutes we
Oh,
have,
sure,
and I
sure.
don't, I
Yeah,
don't know if you want to be outed, in front of all your listeners, but
don't care.
we
So,
okay, cool.